Hi, and welcome to English-Fabule. Are you learning English? Great. Let's learn English with a very interesting story. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and comment. Let's get started.
On November 11th, 2025, the United States honored its soldiers on Veterans Day. This important day saw two very different events happening. Each event showed a different way to say thank you to the country's military members. President Donald Trump spoke at a big, formal ceremony. This was held at Arlington National Cemetery, a very important place for American heroes. President Trump made a big announcement during his speech, a new idea for the holiday. It was a traditional event with many people watching, a public display of respect and national pride. Meanwhile, in a different part of Washington, D.C., former President Barack Obama made a surprise visit. He went to Ronald Reagan Washington National Airport. There, he met a group of older veterans who had served in the Korean and Vietnam Wars. His visit was personal and unexpected. He shook hands with each veteran and spoke with them simply, offering quiet, direct thanks. Both of these moments happened on the same day, November 11th. They offered a clear contrast. One event was a large official ceremony, focusing on national honor and military strength. The other was a quiet, personal greeting, focusing on individual thanks and simple appreciation. These two different ways of celebrating Veterans Day made many people think about the holiday's true meaning. It brought attention to the long history of this day, which started over 100 years ago, after World War I. These events helped people consider how best to honor those who have served their country. 2. A new name for the day. The cold, windy morning of November 11, 2025, saw President Donald Trump at Arlington National Cemetery. He was there for a formal wreath-laying ceremony. This important event took place at the Tomb of the Unknown Soldier, a special place to honor soldiers. Many senior government officials, including Speaker of the House Mike Johnson, were present. Vice President J.D. Vance, who was once a Marine, was also introduced by President Trump. After the ceremony, President Trump stepped forward to give his address. He made a very big announcement that caught everyone's attention across the country. He declared that November 11th, traditionally known as Veterans Day, would now be called Victory Day for World War I. He told the people clearly, "Today is not only Veterans Day, but it's my proclamation that we are now going to be saying Victory Day for World War I." He also stated that similar Victory Days would honor World War II and other military conflicts where the United States was victorious. President Trump explained his reasons for this change. He said he had seen other countries, like France, celebrating their own Victory Days for past wars. He felt it was important for America, too, to celebrate its wins. "We're the one that won the wars," he declared. He further added, "From now on, we're going to say Victory Day for World War I and World War II, and we could do for plenty of other wars." He suggested that someone else might add more victory days in the future, as America had won a lot of good ones. This new Victory Day name matched President Trump's wider goals for his administration. He spoke about his plans to make America's military strong again and to bring back national confidence. He even mentioned initiatives like returning the Department of Defense to its older name, the War Department, which it was called before 1947. This showed a clear focus on strengthening the military and celebrating its power. President Trump thanked the veterans deeply. He told them the nation owed everything it had to their service. He expressed words that are too often left unsaid, saying directly, "Thank you for your service. You've carried America's fate on your strong, proud shoulders." He also mentioned that his administration had improved services for veterans, claiming a 92% satisfaction rating. He said this was much higher than before. The president ended his remarks with a forward-looking message. America stands tall because America's veterans stood so strong, and soon our country will be stronger than ever before. 3. A simple hello. Former President Barack Obama made a special unannounced visit on November 11, 2025. He went to Ronald Reagan Washington National Airport in Washington, D.C. He was there to meet a group of veterans. These brave men and women had served in the Korean War and the Vietnam War. They had just arrived on a flight from Madison, Wisconsin. About 80 to 87 veterans and their families were on the plane, ready to visit the Capitol. When the plane landed, Mr. Obama walked onto it. He personally greeted each veteran one by one. He shook their hands and offered his sincere thanks. As a special token of appreciation, he gave each veteran a Presidential Challenge coin. Presidents traditionally give these to honor distinguished service. It was a very meaningful and personal gesture, showing respect for each individual. Mr. Obama then spoke to the assembled group. He told them, "Hello, everyone. As we approach Veterans Day, I wanted to stop by and just say thank you for your amazing service." He continued, "To you, your family, the sacrifices you all made to protect our country will always be honored. We are very grateful." He emphasized that their hard work and sacrifices would forever be remembered. He also made a light joke about the pleasant 70-degree weather in D.C. that day, which he said was unusual. Later, he shared a similar message on social media, honoring their extraordinary service. This trip for the veterans was organized by the Honor Flight Network. This is a national nonprofit organization. Its main goal is to fly veterans and their families to Washington, D.C. There, they visit war memorials and monuments that honor their service. The Honor Flight Network has many offices, over 128 across the United States. Each year, the program helps around 22,500 veterans travel. In the past 20 years, more than 300,000 veterans have taken these flights. It is a wonderful way for many people to say thank you to those who serve the nation. 4. The story of the holiday. November 11th has a long and important story in American history. It is a day when Americans remember their soldiers. It started as a day to remember the end of World War I, a very big war that changed the world. This terrible war stopped fighting at a special time, 11 o'clock in the morning, on the 11th day of the 11th month in the year 1918. This exact moment became known as the 11th hour of the 11th day of the 11th month. It was a moment of great relief and hope for peace. 1 year later, in November 1919, President Woodrow Wilson made an official statement. He said that November 11th should be Armistice Day. An armistice is an agreement between countries to stop fighting in a war. This day was meant to remember the bravery of all soldiers who died serving their country, and to hope for lasting peace in the world. President Wilson wanted people to have parades, public gatherings, and a moment of quiet at 11 a.m. For almost 2 decades, people celebrated Armistice Day in this way, focusing on the end of World War I. Then, in 1938, Congress passed a law. This law officially made Armistice Day a legal federal holiday. It was mainly to honor the veterans of World War I, recognizing their great sacrifice and service to the nation. However, America soon fought in more big wars, like World War II, which involved millions of soldiers, and later the Korean War. Many more brave men and women served the country in these new conflicts. So, in 1954, national leaders decided that the holiday needed to honor all these new veterans too. President Dwight D. Eisenhower, who was a great general in World War II, signed new legislation. It officially changed the holiday's name from Armistice Day to Veterans Day. This important change meant that the holiday would now honor all American veterans, no matter which war or conflict they had fought in or when they had served. Later, there was a brief period when the holiday's date moved, which caused some confusion. In 1968, Congress passed a law to create long weekends by moving some holidays to Mondays. Veterans Day was moved to the 4th Monday in October. The first time this new date was used was in 1971. But many people did not like this. Veterans and others felt November 11th was too important to move, as it marked the exact end of World War I. Many states kept celebrating on the original date. Because of this, in 1975, President Gerald R. Ford signed another law. This law brought Veterans Day back to its original date, November 11th. This change took effect in 1978, making sure the holiday would always be remembered on its special historical day. 5. Why Victory Day? President Donald Trump shared a new idea for November 11th. He announced that Veterans Day would also be called Victory Day for World War I. He added that the United States would have Victory Day for World War II and other wars that America won. Trump made this statement at Arlington National Cemetery during a speech. He thought this change was very important for the country. Trump explained his reason for this new name. He said he noticed that other countries, like France, celebrate Victory Day for their military wins. France has days to remember its victories in World War I and World War II. But America, Trump said, did not have such a special day, even though the United States won the wars. He felt it was important for America to also celebrate its military successes and triumphs. He said they would start with World War I and World War II and maybe add other wars later. This idea of Victory Day is different from the traditional meaning of Veterans Day. Veterans Day is a time to honor all soldiers who have served the country. It focuses on their service, their hard work, and the sacrifices they made. It also remembers the human costs of fighting in wars. Victory Day, on the other hand, would focus more on winning wars and showing national success in military conflicts. While both days honor soldiers, they emphasize different things about military experience. President Trump's suggestion for Victory Day fits well with other messages from his administration. He often talks about making America's military stronger than ever before. He also brought back the historical name War Department for the Department of Defense. These actions show his strong focus on military power and national confidence. He believes that America won everything in between World War I and World War II. The new name, Victory Day, helps to highlight his idea of a powerful and victorious America. Changing the name also carries a political meaning. By calling it Victory Day, the holiday would focus on what America achieved in wars. Supporters might see this as a way to increase national pride and celebrate military strength. But others might worry that it changes the main purpose of the day, which is to honor all veterans for their service and sacrifice, regardless of the war's outcome. It shows a clear choice about what the country wants to remember most about its military history. 6. A different kind of honor. Former President Barack Obama showed respect for veterans in a different way. On November 11, 2025, he made a surprise visit to an airport in Washington, D.C. He did not tell anyone he was coming before. This made the moment very special for the veterans. Obama went to greet about 80 veterans from the Korean War and Vietnam War. Their families were also there. He met them as they arrived on a special flight. This flight was part of the Honor Flight Network. This group helps veterans travel to D.C. to see war memorials. The Honor Flight Network is a nonprofit organization. It helps thousands of veterans each year to see their memorials and feel thanked. Over 300,000 veterans have taken these flights in the past 2 decades. Obama did not give a big speech. Instead, he walked through the airplane and shook each veteran's hand. He looked them in the eye and said, "Thank you." For many, this was a very emotional moment. It was a personal thank you, not a big show for the country. He also gave each veteran a special Presidential Challenge coin. Presidents often give these coins to honor good service. The coins are a small, round metal token. Giving these coins one by one meant Obama honored each person for their own service and sacrifice. It showed a personal touch from a former leader. He told them, "Thank you for your extraordinary service. The sacrifices that all of you made to protect our country is something that will always be honored. He later wrote on social media that their sacrifices would be honored today and every day. Obama chose to meet veterans from the Korean and Vietnam Wars. The Korean War, from 1950 to 1953, is sometimes called the Forgotten War. Veterans from the Vietnam War often came home to a country that was not united. By meeting these specific groups, Obama's visit helped make sure these veterans felt seen and respected. His actions focused on individual thanks and personal connection, not a big national idea of victory. This was a kind of honor that was very personal and direct, making each veteran feel truly valued. 7. 2 ways to remember. On Veterans Day, 2 leaders showed very different ways to remember soldiers. President Donald Trump held a formal ceremony with a big announcement. Former President Barack Obama chose a quiet, personal greeting at an airport. These 2 events highlighted a long-standing debate about how America honors its service members. President Trump's idea was to call the day Victory Day for World War I and Victory Day for World War II. He made this proclamation at Arlington National Cemetery. His message focused on national pride and celebrating America's military wins. Trump talked about how the United States won the wars. For him, honoring soldiers meant celebrating strong victories and showing the country's power. This approach emphasizes military success and national achievement. It is about remembering the triumphs of the armed forces and the strength of the nation in winning conflicts. This way connects the holiday directly to a sense of national glory and military might. Former President Obama's way was much quieter and focused on individual people. He surprised a group of older veterans at Ronald Reagan Washington National Airport. These veterans had served in the Korean and Vietnam Wars. Obama shook each veteran's hand and gave them a special presidential challenge coin. His words were about thanking them for their personal sacrifice and service. He spoke of the sacrifices that all of you made to protect our country. Obama's visit focused on the individual person, their journey, and their direct contribution. It was about a personal, human connection and showing deep gratitude to each veteran for what they endured. The history of Veterans Day itself shows this debate about how to remember. It began as Armistice Day after World War I. The original day marked the end of fighting at the 11th hour of the 11th day of the 11th month in 1918. It expressed a deep hope for lasting peace. Later, in 1954, its name changed to Veterans Day. This was to honor all American soldiers, no matter which war they fought in. The change broadened the focus from ending a specific war to recognizing the service and sacrifice of everyone who wore a uniform. This historical change already moved the holiday towards honoring the people, not just a win. So, the events of this Veterans Day raise a main question. How should the nation remember its soldiers? Should it be a day that largely celebrates military victories and national strength, as President Trump suggested with Victory Day? Or should it be a day that puts focus on the personal sacrifice, courage, and service of each individual veteran, and also reminds us of the wish for peace, like former President Obama's simple thanks? These two approaches reflect different ideas about what is most important when remembering those who served their country. One way celebrates triumph and power. The other honors the people and their peace efforts. 8. A Day to Remember. On Veterans Day 2025, the United States sought two very different ways to honor its military. President Donald Trump spoke at Arlington National Cemetery. He said that November 11th would now be known as Victory Day for World War I and World War II. President Trump explained that other countries celebrate their victories. He wanted America to celebrate its wins too, showing national strength and pride. Meanwhile, former President Barack Obama made a surprise visit to an airport. He met many older soldiers who had served in the Korean and Vietnam Wars. Mr. Obama went onto their plane, shook each veteran's hand, and gave them a special presidential coin. He thanked them for their great service and the big sacrifices they and their families made for the country. His actions were personal and direct. The holiday has a long history. It began as Armistice Day on November 11, 1918, marking the end of World War I. Later, in 1954, its name changed to Veterans Day. This change was to honor all American soldiers from every war and conflict. This shows that how the country remembers its soldiers has always been a changing choice. These two events in 2025 showed different ideas about honoring soldiers. President Trump's idea focused on national victories and strength. Former President Obama's idea focused on personal thanks, individual sacrifice, and gratitude. How a country chooses to remember its soldiers is an important choice about its values. It shows what the country believes is most important about military service, whether it is about winning wars or about the people who bravely served. Which of these two ways do you think best honors the brave people who serve our country?
Hey there! Just a second before you go. If you learned something new today, please give this video a like, write your thoughts in the comments, and subscribe to the channel. It only takes a second, and it really, really helps to create even better English videos for you. Your support means the world. Thank you.